My first encounter with the Blues Brothers started in 1980 in Calumet City, Illinois, my hometown. I grew up in Calumet City, Illinois, and at that time, my biggest thing to do was ride my Schwinn bicycle. Probably had the coolest bike in town, or at least in my neighborhood. It was a mid-70s Schwinn that my dad had welded a set of forks to each other and made a chopper out of it. And then I put a small tire on the front and had a sissy bar and the banana handlebars. It was pretty cool. And our biggest thing was going through the neighborhood and see who can do the biggest wheelies. And this one day, it was in the summer, I believe, I'm riding my bike back and forth and just bopping around town, just wasting time, and I kept on hearing this music coming from the mall. Well, where I lived was on the corner of Balmoral on 163rd Street. And that was the end of the neighborhood. And behind our neighborhood, our little area, was the Calumet City River, was to the south of us. 159th was to the north of us, and due west was River Oaks Mall. And for us, the mall was our playground. And I would always hear concerts from time to time from the mall playing into the neighborhood, and all you had to do is go over the tracks, cross one road, through the parking lot, and then you were in the mall. And so I'm riding my bike, doing wheelies, and I keep on hearing this same music, like they're playing a record, or it's the same songs over and over. And I finally, I was like, wow, that's some pretty kind of cool music. I didn't know what it was at the time, so I decided to ride my bike over to the mall and find out, what is this music? Where's this music coming from? I knew it was coming from the mall, but I had to go see what was going on with it. So I go out the back gate, down the trail, which kind of goes along the Cal River, go over the railroad tracks, go down a little bit, past River Drive or River Road, through this little trail, right next to the Smiley Tower. And I kept on getting closer and closer to the mall, and the music was getting louder and louder. Well, back then, you had to be careful on your bike riding through the parking lot, because the rows of cars where they would park had string, or it wasn't string, it was rope tied in from one side to the other, and it would separate the cars when they would park parallel to each other. And they had these like 3 or 4 inch yellow balls on the rope so you can see it. So you just couldn't you couldn't just ride your bike through it. You had to take the path of what the cars did. So I'm at River Oaks, and I still hear the music, but I don't see it. So I ride around Marshall Fields, and I start to see River Oaks West. And I see it, movie theaters, River Oaks Theaters 2 and 3, which were right on Torrance Avenue. I'm looking, I'm like, what? There was a bunch of people there, and that's where the music was coming from. So I rolled my bike, I got a little bit closer. I got as close as I could without crossing Torrance Avenue, just because there was just so many people going on over there. And as I got up to the movie theater where all the music was coming from, I seen all these Chicago police cars on both sides of the theater in piles. just piles of wrecked police cars. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And they were on both sides of the theater. And on top of the theater were these huge speakers or amplifiers or something playing the Blues Brothers. It was the soundtrack to the movie. I didn't know nothing about a movie coming out or anything. And then as I'm looking, they have this shitbox Dodge, this piece of junk, black and white car in the middle where all the people were kind of around. And I thought, wow, that's kind of neat. And the music kept on playing. And I was like, okay, cool. It's something to do with a movie or something. And so I'm like, okay, well, not much to see here. And, you know, and I didn't want to go over there across Torrance Avenue to really see what was going on because there were just so many people over there. I just rolled my bike home. So as I was riding home, and the whole time, the rest of the day, the speakers that were on top of the movie theater were playing the soundtrack. And the soundtrack was to the movie, The Blues Brothers, the first movie. And I was a poor kid. I didn't have no money to go see the movie. I really didn't know who the Blues Brothers were. I knew who Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi were by watching Saturday Night Live, but other than that, I didn't really know much about it. So probably after I got out of high school, 4 or 5 years later, I seen the Blues Brothers movie for the very first time. And it was kind of weird because as they're playing the songs through the movie, I knew them all. And they played a few of them on the radio, but they didn't play She Caught the Caddy on the radio or some of the other songs, Shake Your Tail Feather. And I thought, wow, I kind of know the song. So as I'm watching the movie, they reference Calumet City a couple times. And as everybody knows, the movie was filmed on the south side of Chicago at different various locations here and there. Downtown Chicago, Lower Wacker Drive, you know, going down Lake Michigan. What is the name of the fucking... Lakeshore Drive. Going down Lakeshore Drive. And I fell in love. I instantly fell in love with the Blues Brothers. And there was, for me, it was a more connection to home because, for one, I went to Catholic school. And Jake and Elwood in the movie grew up in a Catholic orphanage. For two, my dad was a Dodge guy, so I was a Dodge guy. I like the music. And to hear them referencing Calumet City, Illinois, which is where I grew up, was pretty cool. So I didn't know it at the time, but I am sure in the crowd.
The management to present to you the evening star attraction. Here they are, back after their exclusive 3-year tour of Europe, Scandinavia, and the subcontinent. Won't you welcome from Calumet City, Illinois, the show band of Jolie and Jake and Elwood Blues, the Blues Brothers.
I turned my son on to the Blues Brothers, and he's a really good musician now, and he's heavily influenced into the blues. And there is pictures of my son in Calumet City next to a bluesmobile, which was the wrong year, but it was a band that used it as a prop. And I had a couple Monacos, and I was going to put together a bluesmobile. It was, how could you not? And so I found a 77 Monaco, and it's the wrong year. But I had collected a 74 grill and a couple other pieces, and I thought I'd just be able to change it enough to make it look like it. Then I did find a 74 Monaco, but it was a two-door. And the car was actually quite clean. And the car, believe it or not, this is a true story. The car had I bought it from the original owner, and the car and the owner were from Mount Prospect, Illinois.
This was a bargain.
I picked it up at the Mount Prospect City Police auction last spring. It's an old Mount Prospect police car. They were practically giving them away.
So I got this. I got two Monacos. I was going to take the front end off of the one Monaco, put it on the other Monaco, and then paint the thing black and white. But at this time, when I had the two cars, business was going great. I spent a lot of time racing and going camping with the family. I never got around to putting the two cars together. And I sold the one car to some guy who I believe he went to go put it in a derby, a smash-up derby. And then I sold the other car to a guy I know on Facebook who still has it. So that's my Blues Brothers story. Seen John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and the original Bluesmobile from the movie with a bunch of smashed up cop cars on Torrance Avenue and River Oaks West.